Like you, I watched a lot of YouTube when I first started backpacking. I got a lot of advice that I just didn't believe. It didn't matter how many silly YouTubers told me the same thing over and over. I thought that I knew better. And now I'm seeing a lot of new backpackers make those same mistakes. So, what advice am I going to give you that you're not going to listen to now, but you're going to regret later? Stay tuned and find out. Number one is weight really does matter. I know what you're saying. I'm new to backpacking. Maybe not sure if I'm really into this thing. I don't want to invest thousands of dollars into that super ultra lightweight gear. The fact is, it isn't the gear that's making your backpack heavy. What's making it heavy is you're packing too much crap. And what new backpackers, including myself, do is they pack for their fears. They are uncertain about things and they pack a lot of just in case things. You know, you don't need 3 shirts. You don't need 5 pairs of socks and 3 pairs of underwear. Those things individually don't weigh that much. Or you're thinking, oh, this shirt, it weighs 5 ounces. That's not a big deal. But 5 ounces here, 5 ounces there, 3 ounces here, 3 ounces there. It adds up quickly, and cumulatively, it makes your pack weigh a lot more. So try not to pack for your fears. And the other thing is, most new backpackers pack way too much food and way too much water. I know when I first started backpacking, I'd come home from a trip and I'd have almost as much food left over as what I ate while I was backpacking. And the truth is, when you're packing, you're thinking, boy, I'm going to be working hard, hiking all them miles, I'm going to be ravenous, I'm going to be starving. And the truth is, that really doesn't happen. You probably eat just as much as you do at home. I even sometimes eat a little less. So don't pack too much food. And water. Water weighs 2.2 pounds per liter. That adds up really quickly. So do a little bit of research. Look at the trail that you're hiking. Look at the water sources. Look at which water sources are for sure, which ones are seasonal. Look at what the weather is outside. Is it going to be hot? How much water are you really going to need to drink? So try not to bring too much water. The goal is when you finish a hike to be completely out of food, completely out of water. That means that you didn't carry too much stuff along the way. So a good goal for a new backpacker, I think, is to try to get your backpack to weigh 30 pounds or less. That may be stretching it for some of you, but I highly recommend that you go out and buy an $8 luggage scale and weigh your backpack. You won't regret it, and it'll make your time out on the trail much more enjoyable. Number 2 is waterproof shoes are actually worse. I know you're thinking I'm crazy. Well, I kind of am. But your feet are going to get wet. I hate to send you the memo, but your feet are going to get wet even if you're wearing waterproof shoes. It may be from walking through mud or water that goes above that shoe. You may have to walk through a creek without a bridge. Or it just could be really hot. And if you're wearing some sealed up waterproof shoes or boots, your feet are going to sweat. So you want to get some trail runners that are lightweight. There's a lot of mesh on there. They're well ventilated to keep your feet cool, and they will drain well when you walk through that creek or the mud, and they'll dry out quicker. So you combine that lightweight shoe with mesh and drainage along with a merino wool sock, like a darn tough sock, and your feet are going to dry out a lot quicker. Now, merino wool is not like the traditional wool. Merino wool isn't itchy, and it's actually very cool and breathes very well. So if you're unfamiliar with merino wool, check out Darn Tough Socks. Now, you're wearing your merino wool socks, your trail runner, and your feet are going to stay dry. and they aren't going to stay dry, but they're going to get drier than if you were wearing a waterproof shoe. So do all that and just think about you're doing that. If you're wearing wet boots, they weigh a ton, dude, and your feet are going to be sore and you're going to get blisters from that wetness. A waterproof shoe or boot is not going to probably dry out overnight, where that lightweight shoe probably will, and you'll enjoy your time backpacking more. Number 3 is animals really are more scared of you than you are of them. You may be saying, dude, I'm pretty scared of those bears. Have you ever seen the size of their teeth or their claws? They would kick my ass. Well, the fact is bears and deer and large animals have been taught since they were babies to stay away from people. It's probably some good advice. I should stay away from people. But they are trained to stay away from people, and they're going to run away from you. If you don't believe me, do a little bit of research. Google it wherever you're backpacking, whether that be Minnesota, Ohio, Kentucky. Google backpackers attacked by bears, and you won't come up with hardly anything. And you may be nervous about me saying hardly there. I couldn't find anything in Minnesota. I maybe found a bear that attacked somebody who was feeding it in their backyard. And, you know, there's morons out there that deserve to get attacked. Let's be honest about it. But if you are a responsible backpacker, the likelihood of you being attacked is very small. And you may find someone, you know, in 1995, Jim Bob was killed by a bear in Colorado. Well, likely Jim Bob did something wrong, or he just got a hold of the wrong bear. But you know how many dumb backpackers like you and I are out on the trail between now and 1995? The odds are that you're more likely to get injured or killed driving to the trailhead than you are out in the woods. So do your research and just relax a little bit. But all of this relaxation doesn't give you a permission to be a moron, okay? If you're walking through an area that is really thick and you think that there may be something in the brush around you, announce yourself. Make lots of noise. Hey, bear, here I come, bear. Sing your favorite song. Who cares? Just make noise so they know that you're coming, because the last thing you and they want is for both of you to come face to face out on the trail, and they're going to have to decide, do I flight or do I fight? You know, fight or flight. And you don't know what it's going to be, especially if it's a moose. Moose are badass. Or if it's a mother bear with some cubs, they're going to be protective of their territory. So even if you don't come face to face with them, if you see a moose in the distance or a bear with cubs, be very careful. You know, let them know that they're the boss and, all right, I'm backing away. I'm not a threat. And will be just fine. The other thing I want to talk about is, since you will be just fine, and the odds are ever in your favor, you don't need to carry a can of bear spray unless you're in grizzly territory. Grizzlies are badass too. So, I mean, that bear spray, most likely, you know, when a bear is coming at you, you're going to freak out and not use it right, and it's not going to work anyway. And the same thing for a handgun. I'm not against guns. I own a couple guns, but guns weigh a lot and they're just extra. You don't really need them on the trail, so why carry them along? So you're out in the woods, you're fine. Bears are more afraid of you, unless it's a moose, unless it's a grizzly, because they're badasses. Number 4 is quitting early isn't a failure. Quitting a backpacking trip early is a very difficult decision, whether that be because, you know, you're physically exhausted, maybe you're ill, maybe you've injured yourself, maybe the trail conditions are crappy or the weather is bad, or any sort of dangerous condition that is causing you to quit early. And it's really difficult because you spent all of this time planning and investing in this trip, whether that be money or emotionally, and you're really into this trip and things didn't work out and now you have to quit early. You've told all your friends that you're going on this big adventure, and what are they going to say when you tell them that you quit your trip early? But sometimes it's the smart decision, because if you are out backpacking when you're just physically exhausted or some other sort of dangerous condition, the likelihood of you getting seriously injured goes up astronomically. Now, thru hikers say never quit on a bad day. So if you're out backpacking and nothing's really wrong, but you're just not into it, you're not enjoying yourself, I encourage you, don't quit that day. Stop hiking, set up camp, relax, try to enjoy yourself a little bit, get a good night's sleep, wake up the next morning, and if you aren't feeling it then quit. But don't quit right away when you aren't enjoying yourself. So how do I know when to quit a backpacking trip? I've quit numerous backpacking trips. I don't have a problem telling you that. The one thing that I think about before I quit a backpacking trip is 5 days from now, when I'm back at work, sitting in my office, am I going to regret the decision that I made to quit? It's happened. I've quit, and 5 days later, it's like, man, I wish I was still out in the woods. But there's other times where I'm like, whew, I'm glad I quit. That was really dumb to keep on going. So just think about it a little bit. And like I said, you're going to make the wrong decision a few times, and you'll learn that through experience. Number 5 is bring earplugs. Earplugs are going to help you sleep better at night. This is something that I've been on a soapbox about for a long time, but I'm the only one that seems to be preaching the message of the earplug. So these things, they weigh nothing. They compress down. They don't take up any space in your backpack. At some point, you just have to turn your brain off. You can't be on high alert all the time. How many times have you went backpacking and you have a buddy that snores, and the snorers always fall asleep first? Or there's an owl or a woodpecker or a whippoorwill singing away and making noise while you're trying to sleep, and if you yell, "Shut up!" it usually doesn't work. So, and the one reason why I started wearing these, to be honest, is when I was out backpacking, a lot of times I'm by myself. You hear that little squirrel or chipmunk or the little mouse running around in the leaves while you're trying to fall asleep, and you think it's a bear. It's not a bear most of the time. It's a mouse. Nothing to be afraid about. So you need to go off of that high alert phase and just turn it off, put the earplugs in, block out nature, go to sleep. Now, I'm a Christian and I like my odds. I just say, all right, plug in my ears. If a bear wants to get me, I guess that's the end of it. I'm okay with that. But the fact is if you aren't sleeping with that candy bar and, the food, the bear's not interested in your smelly old body. So relax, put the earplugs in, you'll be okay. And while I'm talking about it, if you can't get your brain to turn off, feel free to take an Advil PM or take a little nip of something, and it'll help you sleep as well. So those are my 5 mistakes that new backpackers make. Are you a new backpacker? Are you going to listen to any of my advice? Probably not. But I want you to comment in this video 2 months from now, after you go on your backpacking trip and you're laying in your tent, laying in your cozy sleeping bag, can't turn your brain off, can't sleep, you're listening to that squirrel run around, you're going to be thinking, damn it, he was right. I should have packed some earplugs. Hey, hike your own hike. Do what you want to do. This is what works for me, and I'm an idiot. So, hey, I appreciate you watching this video. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Punch that bell notification. If you like this video, check me out on Instagram and Facebook. Check out the merch in Teespring. And on another note, grizzlies and moose are badasses, and I am afraid of them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you out on the trail.